Hello there, my name is Anthony Barocas for StreamTech. When Magewell came out with the Director Mini, a lot of people really liked the capabilities in this small all-in-one tablet, but it's a little small. Everybody wondered, with a name like Mini, when is something else going to come out? Well, wait no more. Today, we're going to take a look at the Director One. Thanks for coming to today's video. First things first, I have the box right here. As you can see on the front, one of the key differences, external antennas. We'll take a look at that. The stand on here on the picture says stand not included, so don't expect there to be a stand in the box. But this is very much a lot like the Director Mini. However, it has a lot of advancements, added features, feature requests from users like you. So let's open the box here, and there it is. You can see one of the key differences immediately. This is big. Let's compare it to the Director Mini. It is not mini anymore, okay? So you can see that there's a definite size difference, and I can tell you it's a definitive weight difference as well. Let's take a tour around the unit. On top, you've got a SIM card. One of the first key features of the Director One is it has internal 4G cellular. You have a 4G antenna, Wi-Fi antenna, a second Wi-Fi antenna, a second 4G antenna, and your power button on top. Also, there's fins for the fan and a 1/4-20 thread on top in case you want to hang it below. On the back, you'll notice another big difference is that there is no fan on the back here like on the Director Mini. You can see that right here on the Director Mini, there's a fan in the middle that blows. This is not here, it is blowing across the unit, so you can actually set this down on a table, and it includes rubber feet exactly for that purpose. So a lot of additional thought went in here. Also, 4 LEDs, which will give you battery status as opposed to the single LED on the Director Mini. Both of these are individually releasable. It will use one battery at a time, just like the Director Mini, and it does not charge the batteries, just like the Director Mini. It just uses them up, and you can leave them on here as backup and use external power right here with the threaded DC power adapter. And if this were to drop out, it will automatically use the batteries, so you have like a built-in UPS without having to worry about batteries going bad after a couple years. Here on the side, you can see additional air circulation holes. Again, so this can be laid directly on a table and it will still get ventilation across and throughout the unit. An additional 1/4-20 thread, which was not available on the Mini. You can see you keep the USB 3.0. The power button is moved to a different location. And over here, you still have your headphone and your combination mic and line input. Then on the bottom here, you've got your power and a USB-C, power and USB-C. We went from not locking to threaded. USB-C is your video out as well as data. This USB-C out is now locking. As you can see, it's got threaded holes, and there's a separate HDMI output right here as well. This HDMI out is also locking. This appears to be a reset hole, but I don't have an answer for that just yet. 1/4-20 thread on the bottom, SD card, and Ethernet. On the third side, very similar, HDMI 1, HDMI 2, and your USB 3. And that last side, again, on the original, it is just a blank plate. Here, we have the SIM card, we have the antennas, the power button has been moved to this side, and you've got a 1/4-20 thread. So you've actually got a 1/4-20 here, a 1/4-20 here, and a 1/4-20 here. So if you're doing vertical, you have a 1/4-20 to hold it, or hold it this way as well. Continuing along in the box, you see you've got different antennas. They are labeled. Would be nice if they were just different colors, but they're just labeled. This one says Wi-Fi. This one says 4G, and they are not interchangeable because Wi-Fi uses a reverse SMA. So if you look in here really close, there's a hole here, there's a pin here. So your 4G antennas will not go in the Wi-Fi, but it still would be nice if they were like different colors. So this is Wi-Fi. And what this really means is the Director and the Director Mini, I'm just going to say Director for now on. The Director enables you to take in internet with the cellular connection and make sure that you can use these external antennas to have a good connection. And then also reshare that connection via Wi-Fi to Android or iOS phones being used as wireless cameras. Additionally, you can also have other devices using an NDI app as cameras, also coming in via Wi-Fi. Obviously, I haven't tested it yet. This is just a first unboxing, but potentially this is your internet connection via cellular or via USB. Bonding, remember you got Speedify bonding built in, so you can be bonding multiple connections and then providing that, sharing that connection over the Wi-Fi so that you can have 6 wireless cameras with no wires. I guess that's what a wireless camera means. Continuing on in the box, I'm gonna open this up. Now here we have the hood. Just like with the Director Mini, there's a metal hood here that fits over top. Fits over top. You can still get your antennas here. You still have access to the button. There are 2 threaded holes on the back, and there's some finger threaded screws in the box, and it gives you a little bit of a lens shade like this, so you know it blocks the sun from coming down. But this is a higher brightness, a higher nit screen than the Director Mini. People have asked for something brighter they can use outdoors. This is a brighter screen, as well as having the bigger hood. Next up, we have a bigger power supply. This is a 3-amp power supply, and it is threaded, as you can see right here. It is threaded to lock to the Director Mini, and it can't be pulled out. It comes with plugs, worldwide plugs for different countries. And then we get into the cable. We have a converter here, USB-C to USB-A, that can be used for the connection right here for data. And then we have this cable, which is a locking USB-C, so that if you were going to use it down here, you could put this in and lock it in place. And I think this is a very good update because USB-C is so small, so fragile, and it's hanging out. I mean, if you thought HDMI was fragile, USB-C is a quarter the size and it can easily get hit. So having it locked down and held in place firmly means that you can then use this outdoors. You can plug this into a cellular modem for data or plug it into a laptop for the UVC out for going to Zoom or something like that. And you don't have to worry about banging this or it accidentally coming loose in the middle of your show. What you don't see in here is a locking HDMI cable. You can see the HDMI out, and it is a dedicated HDMI out. As far as I know, you don't get HDMI out and USB-C out. You don't get 2 monitor outputs. It's the same output. I'm still confirming that. It's the same output on both of these. Or, UVC out and HDMI out will both be programmed, will both be in ISO, whatever you wanted it to be. You still have internal SD card recording, internal recording, your Ethernet connection, your video connections up here, your antennas on top. This is the biggest advancement, and the changing in the cooling structure here so that you can actually sit this down on a table. Each of these antennas is rotatable. So here you go. You can set this down on a table like this and really go to town with your cellular connection and your Wi-Fi connection as well. Next up, let's power this up and see how it looks. Pick the plug that works for you and click it into place like that, and we'll unwrap the power adapter. As I said, we are going to screw this in here. It plugs in and then tightens in so you cannot yank it out. All right, we've got that. It's got power. Let's power this up. 2, 3. There it is. We're going to peel the cover off. Hello. Agree. let's do landscape. We're going to go through a tutorial because this is new. So there's your scenes at the bottom. Next, there's your controls over there. Additional controls, menu, start using. So if you are familiar with the Director Mini, this is going to be very, very familiar to you. You can see there's a little cloud icon. I'm not connected to the cloud yet. So first thing I'm going to do is go into here. I'm going to go into my settings, going to go into my network. There's your network bonding through Speedify. We're going to go through the Wi-Fi, turn that on. We're going to go to my Frisco Studios. Connected, no internet, waiting for it. I've plugged a cable into the USB to see if I can get video out for this show. Let's see what we can see here. We're going to go into the menu, settings. Let's see, storage encode stream, USB Type-C, UVC and UAC mode, MTP mode for file transfer, for video and audio output, but only for UVC and UAC. It's not a display port. So now when I try to use this as a monitor, I am not seeing the monitor output. If I take an HDMI cable and plug it directly into the HDMI out, there we go. Now we get the external screen found. Whereas when I plugged this in, let me clear that away. When I plug this in via an adapter, which is how I do it on the Director Mini, and I plug this into USB-C, that screen does not come up. So that is going to be a key change with the Director One, is that the USB-C is not a video output. It's a UVC, but not a video output. So in order to see this screen directly, I'm going to plug this back in. And there you get the clean program, clean preview, multi-view. You get same menu as the other one. I'm going to duplicate the screen over here, and then I can call that up directly. So now I am getting the output of the Director One screen over HDMI. And it's nice to have a dedicated HDMI as opposed to having to use a dongle with the very fragile USB-C. So I'm very happy with the dedicated HDMI for video program out. Or as it says, you can choose what you want that to be, whether you want it to be multi-view, clean preview, whether it to be a loop through of HDMI 1, HDMI 2, it's up to you. Also coming on here, you can see that here's my connections over here. If I plug in Ethernet, let us do that as well so we can see how this looks. There, it now sees my Ethernet. It's been assigned an IP address. I can then hotspot. You see, right here is exactly what I was talking about in terms of using those Wi-Fi antennas to be the hotspot of your data that's coming in, so that way your cameras can connect directly to your Director One, and you've got these external antennas. And because they are external and you have the screw threads on top, you can put more efficient antennas on here. You can put directional antennas on here. It's really up to what you need and how far away and in what direction your devices are going to be. You can now make that choice as opposed to dealing with internal antennas. If you have all your cameras in one direction, you can then get a directional antenna and focus all that energy and reception from that one area. So if you're up in a press box and all your cameras are down there, you can use a directional antenna as opposed to just using an Omni. You can use a directional antenna and focus all your listening and all your transmission down to where your devices are, increasing your range dramatically. That is really the advantage of using external antennas and being able to take these off and replace them. Continuing along in the unit, you have the same destination as this before. You've got the network bonding. This is all very, very much the same, and the device status, which is telling you what's going on in the device, how much CPU it's using, how hot it is. That is a great way so that you can, in the middle of a show, quick check on the unit, see if you're not pushing it too hard, make sure it still has a little bit of CPU headroom, make sure it's not running too hot, so maybe you need to ventilate it more, get it out into the open and everything. Knowing is half the battle. The LED lights on the back, again, there are 4 LEDs. These are battery strength indicators. If you're running off a battery, they will indicate, hey, you know what? Let's plug some batteries in. First, we're going to go like this. And then I've got a second one here. All right, so now you can see I've got these two batteries in here. The batteries, thankfully the batteries I have indicators on them. They're blue, and I've got a blue screen behind me. But now if I unplug it, it should switch to the batteries. And now you can see the green lights, which is why I went with a blue screen. The green lights are indicating the battery strength of each battery. That's good, but you can, in the menu system, you can use the LEDs as battery indicators or use the LEDs as NDI tally lights. So if you're using the NDI output of the Director One for something else, when this device is selected as the source, those tally lights will go red. So we're going to use them as battery indicators, but also up here on the screen, you still have your battery indicators for each battery and the strength. Again, it is just using one battery at a time. It's not using both and draining them both down. It's using one battery at a time. The LED indicators will help you understand which battery is in use. And then when you know which battery is in use and it's getting low, you can swap out that battery, swap out the other battery, put a new battery on, and it enables you to switch left and right, left and right, left and right, and basically have unlimited battery power. Another really useful feature of the Director One is not just a bigger screen, but a brighter screen. In fact, I had to turn this thing down so that it wasn't overwhelming my camera. It is a very bright screen in my studio. Outdoors in the sun, it's going to be better than the Director Mini. It has a higher nit rating, but it's still not going to be, it's not a 3,000, 4,000 nit daylight pounding on the screen, still able to see it. You're still going to want to use the hood. You're still going to want to, it's still going to be reflective glass. So you're going to want to don't have the sun behind you so that, it's coming over here and it's bouncing into the screen into your face. It's a piece of glass. So it's going to reflect whatever bright is behind you. So if you can get yourself under a canopy, this is going to be a lot easier to see. You have the same storage capabilities, internal storage, 64 gigabytes, that hasn't changed. Your encode, you got 2 encodes, that hasn't changed. Your streaming capability, your destinations really hasn't changed. Record capability, you could do record 1 or record 2. Where do you want them to go? Your switching, that's going to be the same as well. Back LED lights, we talked about that already. Your HDMI out, again, this is a new separate feature. So you got the HDMI out, you can change the setting here, and then it says pop up the quick setting when detecting an external screen. I actually personally like that, but you can turn it off if you want. USB Type-C, again, we talked about that. Your replay, instant replay is going to be the same. OSC capability is going to be the same. Shortcut control, look, you build them in here, and your system settings, date, time, firmware, and everything like that. So this pretty much walks us through the key differences with the Director One versus the Director Mini. For those who are fans of the Director Mini, the Director One now provides everything you liked and more in a bigger, brighter package. My name is Anthony Barocas for Stream Tech. Thanks for watching.